If we are truly alone in the universe, it is the most terrifying thought imaginable. But if we are not alone, that might be even scarier. The search for life is also a search for our own origins. By studying the chemistry of other worlds, we learn how the building blocks of life were formed in the hearts of dying stars and delivered to planets. Every discovery out there tells us something new about how we got here. We are literally the universe trying to understand itself through the lens of biology. Right now, on a planet orbiting a star you can see with your naked eye, something could be looking back at us, asking the exact same question. We are living in the first century in human history that actually has the tools to find the answer. The silence of the cosmos is about to be broken. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Today, we are diving into the greatest detective story in the history of science: the search for extraterrestrial life. This is no longer just the territory of science fiction writers or late-night dreamers. From the boiling chemical soups of distant moons to the atmospheric signatures of planets trillions of miles away, the evidence is mounting. We are standing on the precipice of a discovery that will redefine our identity as a species. Before we can look for life elsewhere, we must understand the fundamental requirements for its existence. Astrobiologists generally agree on three non-negotiable ingredients that every living organism requires to function. These pillars are the foundation of our entire search strategy across the stars. First, we need the raw building blocks: carbon, hydrogen, nitrogen, and oxygen. These are not rare treasures. They are among the most common elements in the universe. Second, we need a consistent energy source, such as sunlight or internal planetary heat. And third, we need a liquid medium, usually liquid water, to allow complex chemical reactions to occur. This brings us to the concept of the habitable zone, also known as the Goldilocks zone. This is the precise orbital region around a star where the temperature is just right. It is not so hot that water boils away into steam, and not so cold that it freezes into solid ice. In this narrow band, liquid water can pool on a surface for billions of years, creating a stable cradle for evolution. Our first and most logical stop is our neighbor, Mars. Today, it is a frozen, radiation-soaked graveyard. But 3,500,000,000 years ago, Mars was Earth's twin. It had a thick atmosphere, blue skies, and vast northern oceans that likely covered 1/3 of the planet's surface. Our sophisticated rovers have already discovered complex organic molecules trapped in ancient lakebeds. They have also detected mysterious seasonal spikes of methane gas. If life started there during that warm and wet window billions of years ago, it might still be clinging to existence in the damp, dark cracks deep underground, shielded from the deadly ultraviolet radiation on the surface. But the real shocker for modern science is that life might not actually need a sun at all. Deep in the outer solar system, moons like Jupiter's Europa and Saturn's Enceladus hide global oceans beneath shells of ice dozens of kilometers thick. These worlds are far outside the traditional habitable zone, yet they are teeming with liquid water. Europa is a ball of ice slightly smaller than our moon. Beneath its frozen crust lies a salty liquid ocean containing more than twice the amount of water found in all of Earth's oceans combined. This water is kept liquid by the massive gravitational tug of Jupiter, which flexes the moon's core and generates immense internal heat through friction. On Earth, we have discovered entire ecosystems at the bottom of our oceans that have never seen a single ray of sunlight. They survive on chemical energy from volcanic hydrothermal vents. If similar vents exist on the seafloor of Europa, there could be alien organisms swimming in total darkness right now, completely independent of the process of photosynthesis. Even more exciting is Enceladus. This tiny moon of Saturn actually shoots geysers of salt water and organic chemicals hundreds of kilometers into space through cracks in its southern pole. The Cassini spacecraft actually flew through these plumes and detected the complex organic molecules necessary for life. We don't even need to land to find life there. We just need to fly through the spray and collect samples. Then we have Titan, Saturn's largest moon. It is the only other place in the solar system where we have found standing liquid on the surface. But it is far too cold for water. Instead, it has a complete meteorological cycle based on liquid methane and ethane. Titan is a chemical wonderland, where exotic life could exist in sub-zero lakes, using a biology completely foreign to anything we have ever seen. Now, let us look further out into the galaxy. We have confirmed the existence of over 5,500 exoplanets. We have found massive gas giants, rocky super-Earths, and even worlds with 2 suns. But the holy grail of astronomy is finding a planet that is truly Earth-like, in size, composition, and temperature. The James Webb Space Telescope is our most powerful tool in this hunt. It doesn't just look at planets, it sniffs their atmospheres. It looks for biosignatures, specific combinations of gases like oxygen, methane, and carbon dioxide. On Earth, these gases only exist in large quantities because biological life is constantly producing and replenishing them. Take the TRAPPIST-1 system, located 40 light-years away. It consists of 7 Earth-sized planets orbiting a single red dwarf star. 3 of these planets are firmly within the habitable zone. These worlds are so close to each other that if you stood on the surface of one, the neighboring planets would look as large and detailed as our moon does in our sky. Red dwarfs are the most common stars in the galaxy, making up 75% of the total population. They live for trillions of years, giving life plenty of time to evolve. However, they are also prone to violent magnetic flares. If life can survive around a red dwarf, despite the radiation, then the galaxy is likely overflowing with biological activity. We must never underestimate the sheer stubbornness of life. On our own planet, we have found extremophiles, living in boiling volcanic acid and radioactive waste. The tardigrade, or water bear, can even survive the airless vacuum and intense radiation of space. These creatures prove that the habitable envelope is much wider than we once thought possible. This brings us to the famous Fermi Paradox. If the universe is full of life-friendly planets, and the ingredients for life are common, then where is everybody? Our galaxy is 13,800,000,000 years old. A civilization only slightly more advanced than us should have been able to colonize the entire Milky Way by now. Yet, we hear nothing but silence. Thank you so much for joining me on this epic journey through the stars today. This is a topic that reminds us how small we are, but also how significant our curiosity can be. If you found this exploration as exciting as I did, please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I read every single one, and I love hearing your theories on where we might find life first. If you want to stay updated on the latest breakthroughs in space exploration, future technology, and the many mysteries of our cosmos, then make sure to hit that subscribe button right now. Don't forget to turn on the notification bell so you never miss a new upload. We have many more deep dives into the secrets of the universe coming your way very soon. Until next time, keep your eyes on the stars and your mind open to the impossible. The truth is out there, waiting to be found among the billions of suns that fill our night sky. Take care, stay curious, and as always, keep on exploring. See you in the next video. Goodbye for now.